Countyfairgrounds and Cool K here. Do I have the one, the only Nikki O'Connor on the line with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Nikki. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm just waiting for the fairs to start again. There's nothing going on in the winter time. Why can't they have fairs in the winter?
You're in the wrong part of the country. They're going on in Florida.
Oh, good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. Yep, there's a lot of them going on in Florida and Texas right now, dear.
What's your favorite fair? Do you have a favorite fair?
Oh, heavens. I have talked to so many of them and interviewed so many of them. I like the fairs at the Phoenix Fairgrounds in Arizona, of course, and the Maricopa County Fair and the Arizona State Fair and the Colorado State Fair. And see, if I keep doing this, I'm going to get in trouble. So
yeah, that's the end of the interview.
They'll get mad at me. How long have you been the fabulous magical Nikki guy?
Since I was 10. I went to a Common Ground Fair when I was 10, and I saw great performers there as well as a sideshow, and I was utterly fascinated. And that had me follow all these great entertainers. I'm from Maine, and I just naturally fell into it because I'm the baby of 12 children, 7 girls, 5 boys. So I crave attention from complete strangers. And then I had great training and great teachers who I sought out.
I'm always interested, how did you actually get started? Because, this isn't something that somebody just does. Normally, you have to go to school and get a career.
Yes. What happens is, at least with me, is I went to the fair. I saw jugglers there. I didn't know how to juggle, but my sister sort of knew how to juggle, and I just picked it up from there, and I was just utterly fascinated. As I say, you get the sawdust in your blood. And one of my first tricks was where I could kick the ball up into juggling. And I remember sitting my mother down and saying, "Hey, Mom, watch this great trick that I created." And, of course, I kicked the ball right in her face. And so from then on, she wasn't happy with I could only juggle outside, and it's very cold in Maine. But I just... it became a obsession, and it got to the point where I just wanted to perform, so I became a street performer. I used to hitchhike at an early age, if you can imagine that. But I was really a quirky kid. I figured out a way to never have to wait for a ride. Well, I would hitchhike to, say, Portland, Maine to do street shows and try to make some money, which I did. Is I would carry a gas can with me, and people thought I was out of gas, and really it was a canister that had my juggling clubs and magic tricks and so on and so forth. So I just, that's just who I am. And then I was based in Boston for a while, and I would street perform there every day. And then during the winters, we would go down to Key West, and there you could perform every day. And then eventually I made my way through Europe, and then at 21, I came out to Los Angeles and started working there.
Hey, Mickey,
there's a place called City Walk. What
did your mother think of all of this?
She thought we were. Well, she was very tired. She was pregnant for about 10 years, if you add it all up. There was a child a year. So she thought it was a nice fad, but she was always concerned for me to have a job until I took her to Boston and I showed her back then you could gather gigantic crowds at Faneuil Hall because they get about 2 million people a year through there. And she said, "Oh, all those tricks you learned at home and I saw you playing with, you now do those in front of people." And so I've always had that natural ability, and being a multi-talent, I really worked at my my juggling skills, and then I did a lot of close-up magic. My dad was a hobby magician. He was a doctor, but he loved magic, and so he had all the props in a way. He had all the books, and so I was just obsessed, as most kids, just absolutely obsessed. And then I could make people laugh using all these great tricks.
Are you married?
I am married. Yes, my wife sadly passed away about a year and a half ago, and my daughter is also in show business. She is headed to New York to study musical theater.
Oh, that's cool.
But my wife was in the act when I worked on cruise ships. I met her on a cruise ship, her and her family, and we fell in love, and I put her into the act. She used to be dressed as an old lady, and then she was taking pictures at my show. It was all designed. And then I would take pictures of the audience with her camera, and then I'd bring her up on stage, and she would do a quick change, and she was in a flapper outfit, and we would do a little dance, and we traveled around the world.
Oh, that's cool. That's a cool story. I always ask about people's families, the entertainers' families. I get some weird answers. So,
yeah.
Okay. So you've never really done anything else other than this for a living?
Correct. I have no other marketable skills.
So you did graduate from high school, though, right?
I did. Yes, I did.
Okay. All right.
Did.
So do you remember some of the first events that you did that you got paid for? You want to talk about that?
Well, I found at the time that you could get $5 mowing someone's lawn, and I could get $5 performing at their birthday party. So I did join like a clown alley, and we worked a mall. It was in the small town of Augusta, Maine, and worked this mall. But then when I asked for my $5, they said, "Oh no, it goes into the clown alley," and I was just so bummed because, I wanted to get paid for my work, and from then on I said, I kind of have to work on my own, and I had these great teachers who taught me to do it silently, so physical comedy, and I took a lot of training under these great teachers at these clown schools, as well as Marcel Marceau. So the thing that separated me was that I'm a physical comedian, so I could work all over the world without saying a word. But my first street performing, was the 80s in Boston, and everyone had money, so it's great to really make money, and it starts over again the next show. People don't know you, and they just when you get money immediately for your work, it's just there's a great feeling from the streets, because we would do a whole show. I would do a 20-minute show, and then pass the hat. So that really fueled so many of my training, as well as traveling and eventually coming out to California, because as an actor I wanted to be in Los Angeles. Okay, so you're a juggler and a magician. Do you do a lot of magic in your show? Not a lot. More magical. I do a lot of visual things where things start small and they end up being gigantic. I do a number of different things. I come at the audience in so many different ways. There's a lot of things going on. When I work the front of the fair, a lot of that is instant rapport. And so I will do a ton of tricks, but they're all very, very quick and very visual and funny. Like I have different animals that come to life. And I really know how to make families laugh. I guess that's my secret. Hey, laughter is important, Mickey. Yes. It really is.
we all need laughter now, especially now.
Yes.
Okay. So,
and the history really is the fool at the fair was a guy who kind of put on, it happened once a year, and he would put on his grandparents' like big jacket and baggy clothes, and then he would act silly and stupid, let's say, at the fair, and that stood out. That's really how a lot of the performers and clowns and funny magicians and jugglers started at fairs, from the 30s and 40s, from my study.
Yep.
So I just naturally gravitated towards that.
So do you do all your own bookings?
No, I have a really, really great agent. Scott Mason is a fantastic agent, and they right out of COVID, another entertainer suggested me a guy named Skip Banks. I don't know if you've ever interviewed him, but he's a really, really funny. He's known as Mr. Balloon Man, and he suggested me to his agent because they had trouble finding performers right out of COVID, right as soon as they opened the fairs up. And so I talked to my family. I said, let's start doing this, and I did.
All right. Well, that's cool. I always ask this question too. Have you ever had any bad experiences that made you rethink what you were doing?
Only when I was younger, because when you're younger, you're second guessing yourself. You're thinking certain things. You try certain things that just don't fly. It's an audience is different when they're on the street going about their day, and I'm the sort of goofy person that stops them. But even though it's safe, you get many different reactions. So I guess I just got used to it, and I could always find a way to make someone laugh in some way. But as far as it's you just keep moving forward. You stay a moving target. Yeah, I guess. I did when I first came out to California. I was street performing in this state park that was sort of like the turn of the century is great, Columbia, California. And at the time I wore a straw boater, and I had a leather satchel, and I stepped back in time, and I did a show for a bunch of Mennonites, about 5 or 6 Mennonite families. And they were dressed kind of similarly. And I did the show, and no one laughed, including the kids. I had never had this happen before. They sort of looked at me shocked. And I couldn't, I'm 22 at the time, and I said, I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong, because I always, you always self-analyze after the show. And
of course.
They went off and got ice cream, and I asked, I wanted to know. I went up to one of the elders, and I said, excuse me, did the kids not like the show? What is it? I don't understand. Did I do something wrong? And they said, oh, no. They thought you were a Mennonite that got kicked out of the flock. They thought this is what happens to you if you leave the Amish. But so I'm a cautionary tale. Don't leave us, because you'll end up juggling and riding a unicycle and doing magic for people. But
that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah. I was working on a movie at that time up there, Back to the Future. It was a Western, and they needed a juggler there, so.
Okay, so you juggle, you ride a unicycle thing, and you do magic. Yeah. So when you book a show, when your agent books a show for you now, do you bring all your own stuff, and are you a grounds act, or are you on a stage? Both. Okay.
I'm ideally suited for the stage, because on cruise ships I would always be on a stage, and when I'm based here in Los Angeles a couple times a year, I work at the Magic Castle, which is
cool.
I do both, because I absolutely love entertaining people and making them laugh, and it's a real challenge to me to do that.
Hey, that Magic Castle stuff, I only thought they had magicians there. So you only can do magic there, though, right?
No, I would, a lot of times the different magicians that I would open up for, there's a mega illusionist named Franz Harari who works over in Asia. And where an act like I come in is when you're watching a magic show, it's all puzzles to the audience. After a while, they start to try to figure out what the tricks, how the woman is being cut into 15 pieces or floating. And after a while, it's they want to figure out the puzzle. Then I come on and completely distract them and reset them. And they forgot that they were in that analytical mode. So jugglers and, I'm a Hollywood funny man. What I do is a great distraction. And then after 15, 20 minutes, it's like a brand new audience again to the illusionist. So that's why magicians use jugglers and performers like myself.
So where have been the places that you had the best performances that you loved the best?
Well, it was in, one of them was in China because it was in front of 80,000 people nightly. So that was powerful to me because how can I entertain someone, 80,000 people at once and have them laugh? And it's delayed in an arena show because they're also looking at these gigantic screens on either side of you. But so that was a real great show for me because it's kind of like you're a gladiator. It's you got to go out there and you have to fight off the lions, but with comedy and somehow make a connection. So the bigger the show, the better for me. And it was the same on the street. I was always trying to gather 500 people at Faneuil Hall. And so I feed off that because that's my career. That's what I truly, it's the one joy that I get is from performing. As with many entertainers, I'm sure you've interviewed.
How about Fisherman's Wharf?
And then on TV, whenever I've done TV and film.
How about Fisherman's Wharf?
I worked there once. I had some great entertainers. There was a guy named Butterfly Man, and a number of great entertainers worked that stage. Bree Crabtree as well, who's a great performer in fairs, worked and has worked there. I only did it once, but it's its own entity there.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So how old are you, can I ask?
I'm Hollywood 33.
Oh, you've got years and years and
33.
Years.
See, that's the trick. I'm 33.
You've got years and years and years then.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Do you have any regrets?
Do I have any regrets?
About doing this for a living?
No, because it's like an artist. An artist entertains. An artist paints. A writer writes. I'm compelled to do it. It's just become. When you enter the theater, it's a career. It's a career, and if you take a page from history, a lot of times in the history books, the people that they do write about are warriors and artists. So I just feel rarefied that I've been able to do this since I was 10 and still have a love for it. I produced my first show about 2 weeks ago in Maine, and I got to hire and be a part of my show was that first entertainer who I saw at the Common Ground Fair and the Litchfield Fair in Maine, and he was on stage, and he's 72, and he's Randy Judkins. He's brilliant, and he feels the same way. He absolutely loves to perform, and he brought the house down. So it was like I was the young student, and he was the older performer at the time, and then to have him come back, and he brought the house down. He was, as I remembered it.
Okay. So is there any place that you would really, really like to perform that you haven't had the opportunity?
Sure, the next one. The next big one. It would. I love performing. So wherever the audience is, that's why fairs are so great, because I love making people on a massive level laugh, and that's even if it's 20 people. And most entertainers are that way. We want an audience that's what we get our joy from, and trying to create something, producing your own stuff.
So you write your own stuff?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Absolutely. After years of performing live, I started when I was at these fairs. I said, I want to do a digital project, and I started filming myself as these different characters at the Santa Rosa Fair and at the Big Fresno Fair, and all these different fairs. I love the backdrop of fairs, so I've been working on a project where these characters show up at a fair, and then I'm intersplicing them right now to create this digital children's theater for kids, and then I'm going to send that out, and that's been a big thing for me. But it's simply because I absolutely love the backdrop of fairs, and I love what that brings and how that brings a bunch of people together for one time a year.
Okay, so how do people reach you if they want to book it? Because it sounds like you want more bookings.
They can call Mason Entertainment. He's the best agent of Mason Entertainment.
Do you have a phone number?
They can talk to their friend Google.
I wouldn't call Google. I wouldn't call Google my friend, dear.
No, if they wanted to find my age, that's how I get booked, is through an agent, at least with fairs. As far as me, they can find me either on YouTube, which is Mickey O, or on Facebook.
Okay, all right.
I'm very simple.
So I'm
so busy performing live.
Well, I hope you're performing live and not dead. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, did your mother ever come see you perform?
Yeah, I took her on a cruise once. And and that was the she finally got it. She goes, "Oh, you're not going to do anything else. Oh, this is your calling."
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. But I'm she had seen some crazy things with all my brothers and sisters. I mean, the first one is I was, not to jump back, but when I was 11 years old, I went and saw the Harlem Globetrotters, and Curly, he used to do a thing with a bucket of confetti, and then there's a bucket of water, and I got drenched with the bucket of water. And so that was kind of my first foray, and they brought me out into the center and then took my picture with all these basketball players. And so I was first in a newspaper, and then she tried sort of to direct me elsewhere, but I just caught the bug. I caught the show business bug.
Hey, what do your brothers and sisters do? I'm curious.
Well, a lot of them are school teachers.
Okay.
I have some are in computer design. One of my brothers was a machinist. Another brother was an accountant, and then a lot of my sisters were school teachers. And my sister, who I worked with in Maine just recently, she has her own rock band. So I think we all juggle. We all juggle.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So but they point out that they have made a living with their brain, and I'm the only one who hasn't. So
I'm not so sure that's so bad.
Right.
Yeah. Hey. Okay, well, I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you, and we'll get this up and get this around, and hopefully you'll get some more bookings out of it and some more attention. I love you, Mickey.
Thank you so much. I love you too. Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay.
Bye.
You too.
Thanks
Bye.
to your listeners. Bye.